Thank you. And today I'm going to be speaking from the Culture Code. Now, I wrote on the flip chart behind me, we are one family with one heart. And I am going to go to page 6. Now, if none of you have this book, that doesn't matter. However, if you want a great book on culture, buy the Culture Code. Author is Daniel Coyle, C-O-Y-L-E. And I'm just going to share just briefly, because the more discussion we have on Mondays, the better this is. I'm just going to share briefly a few things that stood out to me in the very first chapter when the author is talking about what is culture. And in this book, he interviews and researches different companies in order to talk about culture. And in this first chapter, he's actually using the Navy SEALs, which I love. I think that they got it when it comes to culture. That's one of the groups that I follow with a lot of respect, a lot of love, and a lot of appreciation and gratitude. By the way, I'm going to hit mute all just because we got some noise going on. If you guys want to jump in and talk, please just take yourself off mute and talk. All right. So middle of the page on page 6. He's talking about this individual who's a part of the Navy SEALs. His name is Jonathan. Here's what he goes on to say. Jonathan succeeds without taking any of the actions we normally associate with a strong leader. He doesn't take charge or tell anyone what to do. He doesn't perform so much as create conditions for others to perform. What is leadership? He goes on to say, we are solidly connected. I think that statement is powerful. Safety is not mere emotional weather, but rather the foundation on which strong culture is built. Safety is the foundation of strong culture. The deeper questions are, where does it come from and how do you go about building it? When you ask people inside highly successful groups to describe their relationship with one another, they all tend to choose the same word. The word is not friends or team or tribe or any other equally plausible term. The word they use is family. These guys, now this is Jonathan, and he's talking about his group within the Navy SEALs. And he says, these guys are my brothers. There is a teamwork that goes way beyond team and overlaps into the rest of people's lives. When I visited these groups, I noticed, now this is the author talking again, and he's talking about the culture that he sees within these groups. When I visited these groups, I noticed a distinct pattern of interaction. The pattern was located not in the big things, but in little moments of social connection. These interactions were consistent whether the group was a military unit or a movie studio or an inner city school. And he goes on to say, I made a list. And here's the list that the author gave us when he's describing organizations with great culture. Close physical proximity, often in circles. This is the reason why a digitally based business that doesn't have a physical presence can't build culture, or the biggest challenge they have with culture. Keller Williams Realty is a digitally based company, but we are physically enhanced. And think back to a year ago. Think back to April, May, June, and July when the office was empty. Did it affect our culture? 100% it did. And one of the things you've heard, and some of you have said many, many times since getting back to the office, is how awesome it is to be back in the office with people and how you could feel the energy. Well, you can't feel the energy if you're not connected to people. So great companies with great culture have close physical proximity, often in circles. Now, if you're building a team, think about that, because you want to put everybody that's in your team as close together as possible. This is why I'm in favor of large teams, all lead generating from the same room. Don't separate yourselves so that you can't see one another and hear one another. Yes, it'll be quieter. Yes, it'll be easier to talk and listen, but you're missing that energy that connects when you're close to one another. Profuse amounts of eye contact, physical touch, handshakes, fist bumps, hugs, lots of short, energetic exchanges, no long speeches. Oops, sorry. High levels of mixing. Everyone talks to everyone. Few interruptions, lots of questions, intensive, active listening, humor, laughter, small, attentive courtesies, thank yous, opening doors. One more thing. I found that spending time inside these groups was almost physically addictive. That's interesting. I feel that way. If we didn't do this call every day, and there was a period of time that we didn't, I missed it. I missed this. I am addicted to this 100%. I guess you could probably say I'm addicted to you. There was something irresistible about being around these groups that made me crave more connection. The term we use to describe this kind of interaction is chemistry. You've heard people refer to organizations or sports teams or groups as they've got great chemistry. Where you encounter a group with good chemistry, you know it instantly. All right, let's talk. We're going to have a conversation. If you are on Zoom, please raise your digital hand. There's a number of you here today. So just hit that little digital hand and I'll call on you. And if you're in the room, talk to me. And if we sit here for 15 minutes in awkward silence, it's going to be weird. All right, I got a hand up. And it is Brian.
Hey. So thank you for sharing that, John. I can really relate to what you have said regarding coming into the office, because the days I don't, that thankfully are very few, I tend to slack off more so than not. So for example, every morning we have a call with Sarah from 7 to 7:45, and being here by 7 and being already ready for that call gives me so much energy that at 8 o'clock I start my phoning hour with so much energy, and I usually tend to get about 3 to 5 meetings off that hour alone per week, and that's a huge booster for me. Also, then I'm able to, from 9 to 9:30, focus with you on this call, which is phenomenal for me because it gives me a break for phoning hour, and then I can continue another hour with energy as well. So I can definitely relate on how coming to the office and being surrounded by people that are doing the same thing and are striving for the same goals gives energy to everybody.
Thank you for sharing that, Brian. Agree. Alan.
All right, I'll break up the silence.
Thank you.
Lately, every weekend, I I try to stop at an open house for somebody that's in this room.
Mm,
Yesterday was Maria and Saturday was Faith.
mm,
And I always plan it towards the end of their open house, so they have time, and that's how I get to know people, like, Vicky, we saw last week, and, you know, there's some interaction in the room, but once you get out there, just a conversation, it's amazing how much you can just learn from their experiences and that. And, that's what I like to do, you know.
I love hearing that. Good for you. And thank you for sharing that. Absolutely. Okay, Clarissa.
So one of the things you said is that from the book, it creates conditions for others to perform. I think that's true about this office. The culture is that everybody on leadership is, looking for the word, is invested in everyone else's performance, how well they do. And that is so true here. Even not only just leadership, I think it has managed to trickle down because the culture of the young people in this office, you know, as people come in, they embrace them. They're also committed in making sure that everybody performs. It's not about me. That's not the culture in this office. It's about us and how we can all benefit and become successful.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, leadership is not something that is done from the front. Leadership often is done from the back. It's done from the middle of the group. If you go on Google Images and just type in the word leadership pack of wolves, you'll find the visual, and there's a couple really good ones. And one of them is going to show you that as these wolves are tracking through the snow, there is distinctly one that is in front of the group. And then there's a distance between that one and everyone in the middle. And then there's one that is trailing. That is, again, farther behind the group. And in researching, they've found that the wolf that is in the front is a leader of the pack. And the wolf that is in the back is also a leader of the pack who is strategically in that place to protect the pack from anyone who would attack them from behind. Leadership is not always done from the front of from the top or from the front. There are many leaders within this office. Clarissa, you're one of them, that are not in a position of leadership with the company, and they're leaders, right? Aaron came to me several months ago and said, I'm going to be a leader. And there was more to the statement than that I forget. And my response was, you already are. Is that important? Why is it important? When you are a leader, people are following you. Now, why is that important? You know, John Maxwell says that if you think you're a leader and you turn around and no one's there, you're just taking a walk. And why would somebody want to follow you? You know, that's a question I would ask myself. Why would somebody want to follow me? And why is that important? Well, you have an opportunity to change lives. You also have there's this thing that is a principle, and principles exist whether we acknowledge them or not. It's like gravity. I can't say, well, I can't see gravity, therefore it doesn't exist. No, it's there. It's a principle. And the principle of you reap what you sow, is a principle. Whether you acknowledge it or not, when you give, when you pour into others, you are planting seeds that are going to come back to you 10 times. Brian Buffini, one of my favorite coaches, says that what you send out in slices comes back in loaves. The Bible says when you give, you get back 10 times. Now, some people have a problem with this because they don't want to feel like they're giving in order to get something back. It kind of feels manipulative. And let that go for just a moment and understand that whatever your intentions are, you can't give without it coming back to you. You can't shine a light into somebody's path without shining light into your own. One of the things that I love about this company, one of the things that I love about, I'll be specific, what I love about Keller Williams Coral Springs, not all real estate companies are created equal. Not all Keller Williams offices are created equal. I've been in a lot as a trainer. Can't even tell you how many I've been in different cities, in many different places. And this place is special. And I've never been in an organization where people care about one another as much as they do here. You know, it shows in 6 years, Keller Williams Realty every year has this event at Mega Camp. We just saw it. It's called the Cultural Summit. And every year they'll name culture ambassadors to Keller Williams Realty International. The way this works, in case you don't know, is depending on the size of the region, they're going to get one culture ambassador or a maximum of 2. Well, the South Florida region is pretty large. So every year, South Florida has 2 culture ambassadors, right? And in the 6 years, out of more than 36 market centers in South Florida, in the 6 years that this office has been open, we've had 3 culture ambassadors named to Keller Williams Realty International. That says a lot about who you are. You know, when I started, I'm just going to keep talking because you guys don't have your hand up. So I'll just talk because I can do that. When I started as a team leader in 2015, I had no intention of being here 6 years later. I didn't. I've told you that before. It shouldn't come as a surprise. Now, when I say this, one of the questions I get is, are you leaving? No, I'm not. The reason I'm still here 6 years later is because I'm addicted to this. I don't see myself ever doing anything else or ever going anywhere else. And it's not because of the financial opportunity that it presents, even though it does, it's because of this culture and this group. Clarissa, your family. If I were to go, that'd be like me walking in the door one day to Monica and saying, hey, I've decided that I'm moving to blank. And by the way, you're not going with me. I'm not leaving you guys. I'm addicted to this. This is family. Now, does that mean we don't have times where we don't get along? Not at all. Of course there are. You know, it's just like when you show up for Thanksgiving dinner and you've got crazy Uncle Harry sitting at the end of the table that nobody likes. And you're like, oh my gosh, we're going to go to Thanksgiving and Uncle Harry's going to be there. Yeah, there's going to be people in your family that you don't necessarily want to hang out with, but that doesn't mean you don't love them. You just don't want to invite them over to a backyard barbecue. I can love you without wanting to hang out with you. And that's family. Now, I'm going to be really honest and direct, and then we're going to close. I love the idea of Cultural Mondays, but you guys got to show up ready to talk, because if it's all me, I'm not going to keep doing this. So please come ready to contribute. And remember what I shared with you last week. Well, I'll just say it again. If you have a topic that you want to discuss on Cultural Mondays, just send me an email or a text. I'd love to talk about whatever's important to you. This could be a mastermind round table conversation where we get together. This is my vision. Every Monday, we just get together and have a conversation about culture. That's it. Not so much me teaching, because I do that every day. It's a conversation. Can everybody agree to do that? Nod your head, raise your hand, put yes in the chat, something so I know you're paying attention.
Yes, John.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
Thank you. All
And I
right,
could talk if you give me a couple of seconds.
go.
I just wanted to say thank you because it is encouraging being here early in the morning. Especially being in the class on Friday, because I did follow up with that FSBO with a card, another phone call, and we are connecting more each time. So I just want to say thank you.
You got it. It's my pleasure. Absolutely. It's absolutely my pleasure. All right, it's Monday, so we're not going to close with time to get to work. Time to go out and hug somebody. So I appreciate you guys. I really do. I appreciate everyone that joins us daily on Zoom and everybody that's in the room with me today. Thank you for being here. I'm going to stop record and we're going to jump right into practicing our scripts.